Santa Clara's heating up, and this isn't just off-season noise. Today, I'm going to keep you on edge with 4 moves that could flip the whole chessboard. A forgotten back with real burst sitting in the backfield. A veteran interior lineman who could steady the pocket for Purdy. A trade idea at safety that would change the personality of this defense. And a swap scenario with a familiar connection that's going to split the faithful right down the middle. Stick with me, because the thread that ties all 4 together is uncomfortable, and it tells you exactly what kind of team the 49ers are trying to be in 2026. Let me start with the name most people have already filed away, and that's exactly why it matters. If you blinked in 2024, you missed it. Isaac Guerendo flashed something different. We're not talking about empty carries. He put up 420 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on 84 attempts, 5 yards a pop, with legit chunk play juice. 9 runs of 10+, 6 runs of 15+. That's the kind of speed element that changes how linebackers flow and how safeties angle downhill. And then comes the part that makes you do a double take. In 2025, he was buried behind Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson Jr., and even rookie Jordan James. The result? 0 offensive snaps. Not a few, not here and there. 0, while being active for 14 games. His job was special teams, 173 snaps, and that was it. So the obvious question is, how does a back with that kind of explosion become a sideline accessory in a Kyle Shanahan offense that lives on stress, leverage, and punishing one bad angle? Here's the thing. The margin for error at running back in this system is brutal. Ball security and durability aren't nice to have. They're the admission ticket. Guerendo had 3 fumbles credited to him as a rookie. For a 49ers running back, that's a flashing red light. Shanahan isn't chasing raw talent. He's chasing trust. 1 blown read, 1 loose ball, 1 missed detail, and suddenly the whole offense loses rhythm. The play caller tightens up, the game plan shrinks, and you're living in 3rd and long. But there's a layer to this that I can't ignore. Eric Branch from the San Francisco Chronicle looked at Guerendo's outlook and basically said, yeah, the fumbles and the health questions have been real, but the size-speed combo is rare enough that he could still get a legitimate shot to compete for a meaningful role. And Branch dropped a stat that should bother every 49ers fan. Last season, with Guerendo basically watching from the sideline, the 49ers had 1 run longer than 26 yards on 481 attempts. 1. Think about that for a second. That's a team built to create explosive angles in the run game, and the explosive runs just weren't there. If you're wondering why drives felt heavier, why it took 12 perfect snaps to get points, that's part of it. Now, be honest. History isn't exactly on Guerendo's side. The last couple mid-round backs the 49ers spent picks on, Ty Davis-Price and Trey Sermon, didn't even make it 2 full seasons before getting cut. So there's no fairy tale here. This is a cold business. If Brian Robinson Jr. walks in free agency, it cracks the door open. Guerendo enters camp with an actual path to a roster spot and maybe an offensive role. But it's one of those you either take it or you're gone opportunities. He has to prove he can protect the football and stay available. Because if he can't, the league won't wait, and the 49ers definitely won't. And that conversation leads right into something bigger. Because you can have all the speed in the world, but if your offense is getting squeezed in the middle, you're playing uphill all year. There's a truth about this team that people don't love saying out loud. The interior pass protection still has to get better. Brock Purdy survived, sure, but he shouldn't have to survive. He should be operating. And that's why a name started circulating as a clean fit. Veteran guard Isaac Seumalo. It's not flashy, but it's functional. ESPN analyst Matt Bowen looked at his top 50 impending free agents and pegged the 49ers as a strong landing spot. And when you read why, it clicks. Seumalo isn't some mystery. He's played a ton of football, 125 games, 104 starts, and 14 starts in 2025 for Pittsburgh. He's been consistently graded well, at least a 73.3 offensive grade in 4 of the last 5 seasons. In 2025, he posted a 76.4 pass blocking grade and a 67.1 run blocking grade. Bowen highlighted the traits that matter in this offense: foot quickness to redirect, body control against power, the ability to displace defenders in zone and gap concepts. And there's one number that jumps off the screen: Seumalo's 97.3% pass rush win rate with the Steelers ranked second among qualifying guards. Second. That's not a vibe, that's the pocket staying firm. Picture that at Levi's Stadium. Purdy gets that extra beat, the play action holds just a little longer, and suddenly those middle-of-the-field windows actually exist. This is how Shanahan's offense becomes cruel again. But the tension is real. Money. Seumalo's projected annual market value is around $9.6 million, with a projection near 3 years, $28.8 million. Some fans are going to say that's too much for a veteran guard. Others are going to say stability is expensive because instability is even worse. And there's another layer floating around this same conversation. Bowen also listed Juwan Jennings as a best fit for the Panthers. Nothing is confirmed yet, this is fit talk, but if you're the 49ers, you can't pretend that doesn't matter. Jennings became a trust target in 2025, the big body who shows up in critical down and distance moments. Losing him while trying to stabilize the line would be an emotional hit and a schematic adjustment. It's the kind of decision that tests locker room chemistry and the front office's willingness to choose long-term structure over short-term comfort. And while we're talking about uncomfortable truths, there's one on defense that's been sitting there for years. The safety spot has been a lingering issue. Jair Brown had promise, Malik Mustafa flashed toughness, and Marquez Sigel is still a work in progress. But as a group, it hasn't been enough. Not enough impact, not enough control, not the kind of back-end presence that changes how quarterbacks play. When you're trying to make a real playoff run, mediocrity in the deep middle shows up at the worst time. Missed angles and run support, coverage busts, and those moments where a receiver is free down the seam and everyone's pointing at each other afterward. That's why the idea being floated is Minkah Fitzpatrick. And let me say this clearly, this is not a done deal. It's a trade scenario tied to the Dolphins discussing deals as they reset their roster. But even the possibility should make the 49ers lean forward. Fitzpatrick is not just good, he's the kind of safety who reorganizes the defense. Instincts, range, physicality. He doesn't simply fill a role, he eliminates questions. He changes how corners play. He changes how a coordinator calls coverages. He changes how an offense decides to attack. There's a cost though. Draft capital and likely a contract extension. That's the debate that splits the faithful. Do you pay up for a true difference maker? Or do you keep trying to patch it and hope the young guys take the leap? And there's a message inside that move too. Nobody's spot is protected. If you want to be a contender, you can't be sentimental about almost. The risk is just as obvious. Hesitate, and someone else solves their problem first. Then you're walking into 2026 with the same question on your back. And that brings me to the last piece, because there's a potential link between the 49ers and Titans that feels like more than coincidence. It was disappointing, maybe not shocking, but still disappointing, to see Robert Saleh leave for a head coaching job in Tennessee after the 2025 season. But sometimes when someone leaves, they also leave a door cracked open. And this is where a trade idea starts to make a strange kind of sense. The name? Wide receiver Ayomanor. He had a solid rookie season for the Titans. 41 catches, 515 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not inflated numbers, steady, real contribution, with red zone utility that the 49ers could absolutely use. And when you look at the 49ers receiver room, you see why this conversation even exists. 3 wideouts are set to hit free agency, and Brandon Ayuk's time in San Francisco is trending toward the end. That leaves Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson, and Jacob Cowing as some of the only receivers under contract next season. That's not a finished picture. That's a work order. Ayomanor would fit that need. Young, productive, and the kind of target you can actually build packages around near the goal line. There's also a fun little detail people love to bring up. John Lynch has a soft spot for Stanford guys. Whether that matters or not, it's part of the flavor here. So what's the cost being kicked around? Linebacker Tatum Bethune. And that's not a throwaway. When Fred Warner went down with an ankle injury, Bethune was pushed into a starting role and played well. 94 tackles, 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss. He held the line. With Warner set to return, the 49ers might feel they can afford to move Bethune to fill a different need. And from Tennessee's side, Saleh has seen him up close. He knows what he's getting. That kind of familiarity can make talks cleaner. Would it be straight up? Maybe not. The idea includes the possibility of sweetening it with a late-round pick. But the core argument is that both players could be similarly valuable to their new teams. Tennessee gets a young defensive piece. San Francisco gets a young receiver with upside and immediate usage. And now you've got all four pieces on the table, and you can see the pattern. Guerendo is bottled lightning, only if he earns trust. Seumalo is the kind of move that doesn't go viral, but keeps Purdy upright and keeps the playbook alive. Fitzpatrick is a raise-the-standard swing at a position that's been a headache. And Ayomanor-for-Bethune is one of those trades that looks small in February and feels massive in December. So here's the question I want you to answer. Do you want patience? Or do you want the front office to get ruthless? And if you had to pick one move that reduces mistakes the most, one move that shrinks the margin for error, what's your first call? Drop it in the comments, and if you're riding with the faithful, make sure you hit like and subscribe so we keep this conversation rolling.